What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rise and Grind. Happy Monday. We're back. We got some great topics today.
Yeah, we have some really good topics to line up.
I'm going to dive in on one. We're jumping right in here.
Good.
I'm going to dive in one here. I'm still blown away by this. How much money, if you had to guess, don't look over here, do you think the Taylor Swift's Eras Tour is generating in the economy?
In the economy. Worldwide?
No, in America.
Oh my gosh. I don't know, like 2 billion maybe.
2 billion?
Maybe. That's what I would think.
5 billion. But think about that number. Are you kidding me? That's crazy.
5 billion is a
5 billion, right?
5 billion is a lot.
And then on top of that,
Wow,
right?
that is a lot of money.
Right, and there was a hotel in Chicago that since COVID has been pretty devastated, and they said that they hit their absolute record. They broke their record of bookings when she was local.
Really?
So it's crazy that literally what she's doing is generating that much money for local businesses. Because think about it, wherever she's playing, some people fly into, so hotels are being booked. People have to eat, right? So they're going to restaurants.
Is on the rise.
Correct.
Yeah.
So wherever she goes, the tourism just inflates insanely.
Right.
So,
Which is amazing. I mean, especially for those smaller towns who were hurting
Right.
because no one's visiting.
Right. So essentially, they're calculating it. It's been 5 months and $5 billion. So $1 billion a month.
Shut up.
How insane is that?
up.
Think about whatever she touches turns to pure platinum, whatever the hell
Oh
gold.
my gosh,
It's
that's
insane.
crazy.
5 billion.
That's
5 billion.
That's insane. I mean,
And
the
the
amount
economy.
of opportunity, not just for the local businesses that she is traveling to, but the people that work for her. There's so many people.
Oh my gosh.
I saw a video of all of the trucks that it takes to transport her
Yeah.
stage and everything, and it's an army in its own. So she's giving a lot of job opportunities to
It's
people who need it.
so insane, you
Yeah,
know?
that's
And just
really
picture
cool.
being one person going somewhere and $1 billion following you to that place. Like,
Imagine
what the
knowing
actual
you
heck?
have that power. Like, the good thing is she genuinely cares about people.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like. So
yeah.
she's like, how can I give back to
Are you a Swiftie?
cities? Not really.
No?
No, like I don't
Yeah.
not like her, but I'm not a die-hard fan where I'm
Yeah.
like, I have to go see her in concert.
Yeah.
But I respect her. I
Yeah.
appreciate what she does.
I'm on the same boat as you.
Yeah.
Definitely I don't listen to a ton of her music. I think I like her old stuff. I forget the name of the damn song. Our Song. Boom. Back in the day.
yeah.
Like the Our Song, slamming screen doors. That is my jam. But what's funny though is I don't really listen to her that often. But you know, Jacqueline, my wife, made me these little bracelet things.
A friendship bracelet.
Right. So she made this with my kids' names on it, and literally, I'm sitting here and like I'll never forget this. I'm at a Starbucks getting her coffee, right, while she's in the car, and somebody asked me if I was a Swiftie, and at the time, I didn't know what the hell that meant. I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, do you like Taylor Swift? And I was like, no. She goes, oh, why do you have the bracelet? I'm like, oh, my wife made it for me. And she's like, oh, that's a Taylor Swift thing. I'm like,
Jacqueline
oh,
set you
I just have a Taylor. whatchamacallit? My kids' names are on it.
Yeah.
But literally, it makes me look like I'm a Swiftie.
That's
so
so funny.
sometimes people will ask me that question. Like the guy from Burger 25 actually asked me that on
Really?
the podcast. He goes, "You Swiftie?"
Oh
I'm
my
like, no, I'm not a Swiftie. Yeah. So anyway,
That's funny.
crazy, and what a time! What a time for Travis Kelce to get on the Taylor Swift train. I mean what a time.
Seriously,
Now, and
though.
again, he made that $20 million Pfizer ad, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm just gonna put him on. Let's get him back. Let's get him to the Billionaire Boys Club too, just because he's with me, right?
Right.
But honestly, when you think about that, how defeating. Like no matter what, doesn't matter, boy or girl or man or woman. It's like when you're in a relationship, like that level, and she's like a quadrillionaire.
Yeah.
And he's like a well-respected football player,
Right.
but not even close to what she has.
He's got to have a lot of respect for
Right?
her.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's tough. That's
Yeah,
tough,
he's got
you
to have a
know?
lot of respect for her. I mean, who doesn't? Like you said, man or woman, whoever, whatever. She
Damn.
rocks out. She makes a lot of money and she helps a lot of people. So good for her.
All right,
Yeah.
Swifties. Comment in. Do you like Swiftie? Are you a Swiftie? Let us know.
You know what's interesting though? She
Twisted
now
Teas. Are you a Swiftie? Not a Swiftie? No. You like Ashanti, that's why.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, let's move along here.
All right, we have a few different Instagram updates, and something that I keep seeing in headlines is Instagram is testing, Google is testing, TikTok is testing. So there's a lot of tests going on right now.
Who's testing?
It seems like, yeah,
Everybody's
everybody's
testing.
just testing to see what works and what doesn't. So it's interesting because during these test phases, not every user gets access to the features that are being tested, right? It's
I know.
very select users. So some of these updates may or may not apply to you, depending on if you're in that test group. The first one is that Instagram is updating the way that their hashtags work. So now, instead of searching for a hashtag and it pulling up only top posts, it'll start to look through the entire profile, meaning the bio,
Right.
the handle, even the comments, to see if that keyword is showing up. And if it does, it'll push profiles and posts instead
Right.
of just posts. So that's really important. What that means for brands or businesses is that you need to include some of your core keywords in your bio on Instagram especially, but on Facebook as well. Even though they're two different algorithms, they're both owned by Meta. So
Right.
when one update happens, we can anticipate it happening to the other platform. So that's the first update that we have. The second is that there's a new comment feature for carousels. I don't know about you, I've been seeing more carousels lately than just
Yeah.
static posts. People like to do their photo dumps, and now you can comment on a specific photo or slide within the carousel by commenting the @ symbol and then the number slide that you are commenting on or referencing. And what it will do is pull a thumbnail of that image into your comment, so people know exactly what you're commenting on.
Have you seen people on Facebook though doing the @highlight and it tags everybody?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So literally, I'm in a couple different groups, and
What is it?
I don't know if it's just groups though. Literally, I think it could be anybody, right? So literally, like somebody, like perfect example, like if Twisted Teas commented on some random post, right, and just or he posted something. I'm sorry, he posted something, and he did the @highlight. Everybody that follows him gets notified that he posted that because he put @highlights.
Wow.
And I literally just saw that the other day, and I'm like, interesting. So they're doing
Very
that too.
interesting. So
Yeah.
that's important for on your personal profile. You saw that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
on
so that's
Facebook.
important too for people who, if you do own a business or you're trying to push out a message, it's really hard for your content to come up in feeds for
Yeah.
a lot of your friends and family. So if you do that @highlights, I'm assuming because it sends a message to everybody, you'll get more eyes on that particular post,
Right.
which is pretty cool.
And to that point, does anybody ever remember their Facebook password? I mean, I never
No.
know my Facebook password. I don't know why I don't ever have my Facebook
No,
password.
but you know what? Mine's been the same for literally years and
Right.
years and years and years. And to be honest, I very rarely sign in because I'm always in like adapting socials
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like one of our
yeah.
business ones. But last week, scrolling through Instagram, and all of a sudden I got logged out, and my password changed, and then my email changed. Like somebody got into my profile.
On
I
IG?
Frantically. I'm trying to figure it out. I was able to go through Facebook to access my Instagram and get back into it, but
Oh,
I
wow.
ended up changing all of my passwords.
Good,
for
wow.
weeks. Yeah, that's
Wow.
happening a lot too. So make sure you change your passwords.
Speaking of that, though, there's so many people that get hacked. Like so many of my friends and family that I've seen, like my buddy Eric,
Yeah.
literally got hacked by somebody. They took over the account, locked him out, right? And now the craziest thing that sucks is like you have like a POV of somebody posting as you,
Yeah.
and like
You
they're
can't do
posting
anything
themselves.
about it.
And the first post that they opened up with on Eric's thing
Oh, no.
was it was a video of a woman who had these long like designed fingernails, and the caption that Eric
Mm-hmm.
made was long fingernails are should be called finger swords. And so everybody that knows Eric sees this and like, what the fuck is this? What is going on with this guy? Something's wrong with this guy. And I called him. I'm like, dude, are you all right? Because he never posts.
Stop.
He's literally he's worse than you.
You know-
literally never posts, right? And I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, you just posted the weirdest post. And that's how we found out he got hacked.
That's insane.
But like, it's just such a crazy thing. They lock you out and they start posting random shit.
Yeah.
But additionally, back to why you should change your password. So she's a perfect example of like, oh, I kept my password forever. Boom, gets hacked, right?
Yep.
It's like, this actually happened to my family. One of my younger cousins, who's like 15 or 16, gets hacked on Facebook. and DM'd Angelica, my cousin, and me, and essentially it was like, hey John, I'm trying to do this one thing. Can you send me like $15?
Oh no.
And it was coming from my cousin's profile.
Oh no. So of course you're like, sure.
No, I said no. I was like, what? I was like, I was like, he would never ask me for that. Like, I know it's off. But just as a heads up, like, guys, you have to be, like, your passwords, I know it's annoying, and we're always like, oh my gosh, what's my password? Like I just said about Facebook. But you have to come up with some crazy password. And realistically, you should change it. Like, I change all of my passwords every single year now.
Yeah, that's good.
Every year I change all my passwords. Because
Really
like at the end of the day, guys, like people are with AI too. Imagine when AI starts going into the dark web.
No.
And it's like an evil force.
No.
And it's like, okay, boom. Like,
oh, on that topic though, I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast the other day, and an ad came. He was doing an ad for this platform that is slipping my mind right now, but I'll have to find it so that we can talk about it more. But it essentially removes all of your history. Nobody can track you. Nobody on the dark web can track you. Like, you can browse through the internet without the government tracking you or anything. And there's more softwares coming out like that because people are afraid of AI hacking into their system. So crazy world we're living in. Yeah.
You gotta be ready.
Two-factor authentication on all of your platforms too, because that's what saved me. So
100%.
Lots of changes happening. The last update that I have for Instagram is they're testing 3-minute reel length limits, which right now we're at 90-second limits. On TikTok, this is going back probably a few months ago, they started testing 10-minute uploads. And they found that longer videos are trending on TikTok. So of course, what does Instagram do? They decide to up their limit for Reels as well. So now you can upload up to 3 minutes on Reels and see if that works for you. I'm interested to see if longer videos do better on just TikTok or if Instagram takes to it just as well. That's
going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll add to that Instagram and Meta update. Literally the other day, last night, better yet, Jacqueline was going to post, or she's like putting together like a post for her like maternity shoot recently, and she's allowed to post 15 photos, and normally your max is 10.
Yeah.
So now they're doing 15, which is interesting. And of course, it wasn't available when I wanted to post multiple photos, but now she goes to post and she posts 15. But now they're giving you more opportunity to post more content. So keep that in a loop when, or in mind when you're creating content, that you have more photos you can select now. Because before, it's like, Twitter back in the day where it's like, okay, how do I get all my thoughts out in only like 250 characters, whatever the hell it is. 300 characters, whatever it is. It's like, damn, how can I shrink this with photo shoots or business things? It's like when you do carousel posts or multiple image posts, it's like you have to it makes you force and get creative with what 10 am I going to select. Now it's going to 15.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I had a conversation the other day with a family member, and I remember like having a conversation where they were like, hey, I 100% use Facebook still, and I like Facebook because you can post unlimited photos, and I keep like my albums, like summer albums, kids albums, this album,
organized,
that album, right, as opposed to whatever. Whereas Instagram's more like you can only post 10 pictures, and it's like, damn. But it's so crazy. So many millennials are so tied to Instagram,
right,
versus anything else. I'm also still tied to Facebook too. I like Facebook.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know a few people that really like Facebook for the feeling of being connected to family that you don't see, but is that what you use it for, or use it for something different?
I use it, Facebook for me, I use primarily for like checking in on family, like
networking, you said before.
A little bit of networking, and those things. It's honestly, it's just, it's like those things. Yeah.
Makes sense.
I've
Whereas
also just known it for so long.
On Instagram, you aimlessly scroll. Like, I don't aimlessly scroll. On Facebook, I go to see, or like Facebook Marketplace.
I like Marketplace. I was gonna say that, I love Marketplace.
Yeah,
By the way, do not sleep on Marketplace. If you're selling a product, put that shit on Marketplace, because literally it's so crazy. I'll tell a quick story. Literally, when me and Jacqueline moved into our one of our first houses, it had this old, disgusting mailbox, right? I was like, I'm replacing the shit out of this. So I take this mailbox, it had like the old green mildew on it. It was like gross. So I threw it out, literally in the garbage, right?
Yeah.
And Jacqueline goes, no, let's put it on Marketplace. I guarantee we'll sell it. I'm like, there's no way we're selling this thing, right? So I put it on Marketplace. She puts it on Marketplace, better yet, for $20, right? That same day, somebody came and picked it up for $20.
No way.
And the picture of it wasn't like cleaned up or nothing. It was literally looks like dog shit. Somebody came, they bought it still.
Oh my gosh.
So the point is, if you're selling something, you're not putting it on Marketplace, what are you doing?
I don't know. Now I'm going to go home and put all my stuff.
Where the hell you at? If you're not selling Marketplace, where the hell you at?
Seriously.
Right? Like you gotta be on Marketplace. So
oh my gosh, I always just donate things, to be honest with you. I just had bulk trash come and I put a bunch of stuff at the curb and brought the other stuff to donation, but Marketplace is the place to be, apparently.
yes,
cool.
I'm telling you. And that's a big thing for me with Facebook.
Very cool. All right, I have one more trend that's taking place, another test, of course, but Google is testing AI overviews in search engine results pages now, which means that an AI reverberated answer will come up above organic search.
Right.
So that's going to start to impact your organic search ranking. It's something to be incredibly mindful of. And this goes back to creating quality content so that your content is what's being referenced in these AI snippets, or at least right under them at the top of search engines. But the integration with AI and search is coming our way even more so than ever. I actually saw another article that was saying, did OpenAI or ChatGPT replace Google? And I don't think that's true. I don't know. I feel like ChatGPT is used mainly for guidance.
Go ahead, but I will tell you, I have shifted pretty significantly. Like, perfect example, the other day, I ran to the liquor store, and I was like, my normal thing is like I'll do like a whiskey and Coke, and not that you know that, or not that he knows that, but literally, like, I love a good old fashioned though, right? So I'm like, I want to get an old fashioned, like mixed, because I was at this liquor store. Normally my visceral reaction would be go to Google, pop in what's in an old fashioned, or what can I get at a liquor store. I went on ChatGPT. I always do that now though. I'm like,
really?
what is in, like if I'm asking a question, like I'll go to ChatGPT. If I'm looking for like a business or an article or things like that.
Yeah, resources,
I'll go to Google. But like, you know, anything like, for instance, like what Steven just told us about, like Vincent, like that whole medical thing, I would have went to ChatGPT there.
Huh. That's
like,
really interesting.
this is what's
Chris
happening.
does that
blah, blah.
too, though. You have it on your phone?
Yeah.
You use it on your phone?
Yeah. Yeah, heavy D. I'm a ChatGPT or an
Really
AI seeker
interesting.
for that information, only because like this is the difference, right? Like when you think about it, and this is where the world is going to start to shift for search,
Right.
because the thought process, at least that I have, is okay. I can go to Google. I put my search in. Okay, what's in an old fashioned, and I'm going to see a couple different websites that tell me their version, their takes, what's in an old fashioned. But if I go to ChatGPT and I'm asking a question, whether it's a simple one like that or a more intricate one, it's going to give me a direct answer rather than me searching and finding an answer through articles.
Yeah.
I don't have to look anymore.
It cuts down your
I
time.
literally just ask it a question and it's giving me some sort of, if I'm not happy, then I'll go to Google.
Right.
But instead of me going to Google, searching through articles and being like, do I like this answer, blah, 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 am I dying from WebMD, whatever, it's like, you know, realistically, I feel like that's giving you the direct answer.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's what people want, though. It's like, we had a perfect conversation the other day. Oh no, I'm sorry, not we. Like I had a client that, you know, that we just signed, and we were having a conversation about how they were saying like, oh, we hired this really big expensive coach, and most coaches are like not telling you, like they want you to do the work, so they're not telling you like do this. They're like, what do you think you should do?
It's true.
And it's like that's what searching on Google is. It's like you search it and you have to find your own shit and you have to do the work. Where like when you go to like a ChatGPT, Grok, or whatever, you know, it's giving you the answer.
Step-by-step guidance.
Like here's like I'm looking for this, and boom, here it goes.
I do use it more for that, like how to troubleshoot different things, or when I just want a straightforward answer. There's another platform called Find, P-H-I-N-D, and it's like ChatGPT, but it'll actually give you all of the resources and links that it pulled from and show you exactly which information was pulled from what resource. And I like that too, to go back and see like, is it a quality resource or not?
Right.
So, yeah.
Do you remember when people would say you're fat? With a PH.
I'm like, I know John's not telling me. So,
I heard that today. Remember Fat Farm?
No.
You never heard of that?
No.
You heard of that. Fat Farm, that's hood shit. I remember that up in North Arlington days and stuff. But anyway, I heard that today. It's crazy that type of stuff never came back.
Yeah.
Like at least not yet, right? Like, oh, that looks
Not
fat
yet.
with a PH, right?
Not yet.
But fat was good, right? Like that was like
Right.
you look like that's sick. It's a fat look.
I
Have
feel
you ever
like
used
we're-
that? Have you ever used that reference?
Yeah.
Right? That looks fat. Let me hear you say it. Like how would you have said it?
Say it in a sentence.
Say it in a sentence. Like how would you have said it?
Like, damn, that sweatshirt looks fat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like see,
Well,
like
there's Gen Z slang now that
Right.
takes over. That's
Right.
I don't understand. That was our slang.
I love it. But when you think about it, it's like, obviously going back to the whole point though, it's like at the end of the day, every generation's gonna have different way they're saying things and doing things. And that's why like people just want to get to the answers.
Right.
But like, again, I remember growing up back in the fat days, right? I would literally like do you guys have like encyclopedias in your houses back in the day? I'm telling you, back in the day.
Sure did.
Yeah, my mom and dad
Absolutely.
invested in this crazy encyclopedia
Yeah.
set, and we would look through that for homework. Oh, what's this? We'd go on the site, whatever. But like back then, it was always about searching for the answer and for the thing you're looking for. Search, doing work, looking through encyclopedias. But these generations now, right? Like Gen Zs, Gen Alpha, right? That generation, these generations moving on, they get the answers directly without work. So I don't know. I remember like back in the day, like my teacher, like math teacher back in the day, like in elementary school, she would say, don't use the calculator when you don't need to because then you're going to rely on it, and don't rely on machinery. That's what she used to say all the time.
Right.
But now this new generation, they don't have to do the work. It's like, what's the answer? Boop.
I know, but is it thinking for them? I feel like it's going to remove
I
some
know,
of
I
the
don't-
critical thinking and problem-solving skills that
Well, the
like,
answer is
we
yes, it's
need,
gonna
we
remove that,
truly,
yeah.
truly need. So that's the part that worries me. Is like,
Totally.
I don't know. I think we need some tech-free days as a society.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of interesting stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, moving along here, guys, one of the things that we keep talking about time and time again is being prepared and creating good content, because at the end of the day, all these platforms, they're designed to make sure that your content is well received by the user, right? The end user. They want people to stay obsessed with these things and never leave them, right? So the thing is that when you're creating content that's not entertaining or funny or whatever, or doing something to pull on a heartstring, to make people laugh, to make people cry, whatever it is, then your content is useless. So for the people out there, and this is more of like, I'm doing my best to try to motivate you and to tell you to stop just posting to post. Posting to post is going to hurt your algorithms. It's going to hurt you doing well in the algorithms. But ultimately, it's going to show all these social networks that you're on that you don't create great content that people want to see. So you have to start getting ready and gearing up, because again, we are at a war for attention. We are at a war for attention, right? Never in the world. I remember, again, starting Adapting Social back in the day. When I started it, Google Ads was so cheap when it was AdWords. And again, there was no Facebook for Business, and there's no businesses on any social networks like that. But when you really, truly dive deep into this, guys, and you think about it, at that point in time, like Nike, if Nike started now, do you know how hard it would be for Nike to become Nike?
Oh yeah.
Like, think like what's a good new like shoe company? Like, you still think about the big ones, Jordans, Nike, whatever, like the big brands, because they were already here in the game and built such a huge market ownership that literally they're still thriving. Whereas the new people in this world, because there's such a war for attention, it's so difficult to penetrate and to make impact.
Right.
And that's why when you think about it, again, like when you think about historical movies or crazy great actors, I think about like the Brad Pitts, like I think about like all those types of people from that era, right? The Brad Pitts, what? Leo, it's like those people, right? Who's a new good actor right now that you could think about that's brand new, that has made impact?
Brand new?
Well, I'm just saying, like recent. Is there any new actors that you're like, yo, that person's like a Brad Pitt worthy person?
I don't know. I really like Zendaya right now.
I don't know who that is. Who is that?
You don't know who that is?
No.
Oh my gosh, I'll show you a picture. She's in Dune. She's in a few different.
All right, let's pop up Zendaya. We'll pop Zendaya up here.
This is Zendaya.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't even know who that is.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Get
But
with the
do you know who that is?
program. Oh my gosh.
See?
Where have
So-
you two been?
It's living under a rock.
Clearly.
But I'm just saying, like, that's the difference, is that because now there's so many movies being published. The reason why we know these actors so well is because when you saw, like, all these different people like Brad Pitt or, what the heck is that guy's name that's in House of Cards? Kevin Spacey.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I'm like, I have no clue.
Yeah, all these different people like that are from that era. Denzel Washington. When you think about those people, it was a time where you went to the movies and there wasn't a gazillion things streaming. There wasn't all these different new movies coming out. There wasn't access to a bazillion movies at your fingertips on a remote on your smart TV.
Right.
So everybody just collectively saw that movie and saw those actors, and they became iconic. I don't know any iconic actors or actresses right now.
It's definitely more difficult, especially because now influencers are acting, right? Like content creators are acting in movies. So it's not just, your Hollywood actors and actresses. It's a lot, your average person, your average Joe.
Totally.
Which is crazy. And we're on entertainment overload, to your point. It's like,
it's
movies, streaming, there's a million different streaming platforms, YouTube, social media platforms. Wild.
It's funny. I remember hearing this for the first time a while back, but somebody, like, the first time I ever heard this, I think it was in Asbury, when we had the office in Asbury, and it was like 2018 or 2019 or maybe 2020. I don't know what the hell it was. 2019. But it was like, I heard the term, I feel like we're having meeting fatigue, right? But now I feel like it's entertainment fatigue.
Yeah.
It's like there's just too much.
Right.
There's too much. But that's why, to your point, I think it's great to have dark time where it's like you're not on social, you're not doing whatever. But I gotta say, it's fucking hard. It is not easy anymore to just go dark because, like, especially depending upon your job or if you own a business and stuff, like, you have to constantly be out there putting out content, doing these things. And so it's not easy to do, but I think it's so refreshing. That's why, like, a lot of our, Hasidic Jewish clients, I remember the first time, I started working in that community probably like 2016, 2015 or something like that.
Right.
And I remember the first time I ever heard this, and the guy was like, hey, you can't contact me on this day, on these holidays, whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying to me straight up, because he's a pretty big entrepreneur, he was like, the good thing about it, he goes, it gets me wanting to run back into the action on Monday, right?
Yeah. 'Cause
And
you're
I was
refreshed.
like,
You're
right,
recharged.
right,
Yeah.
and you're not allowed. Like,
Right.
you cannot do it, right? So it's like you want to get back into it. So something good to take away from that. But yeah, very, very big. Last thing I'll talk about is, guys, this is an election year, right? And we know right now it's election madness at this point, right? It's crazy, crazy, crazy. But we have to keep that in mind for business, right? Some businesses are taking a hit from that. Some industries are taking a hit from that because consumers are being a little conservative in some areas. So you have to prepare and plan, throughout the year for that. And then what happens post-election? So as a business, you always have to be at the cutting edge and the forefront of saying, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And where, will this and how will this affect me?
Right.
So just being prepared there. And with that said, one of the things that, that I typically do, and this is more just advice for entrepreneurs and business owners and stuff, is most businesses, just like people, right, are not prepared for an issue or a challenge or things to happen in their business. And so when things, like when they lose a couple clients, or if they have some tough times, or if a pandemic hits, or whatever happens in their industry hits, and they have a few months of like not having any revenue come in or no clients come in, boom, they sink and they're done because they don't have revenue and they don't have any nest eggs. As a business, you need to have at least, I know this is tough, but you need to have at least a year, if you're gonna do it the right way, a year worth of a nest egg set aside so that if you don't get one more customer in your door, that you could still operate for a full year. It's a very important thing. Most businesses do not do that, but that's why they go out of business.
Right.
But it takes calculated financial planning to make sure that you have yourself set up properly and that you're ready to go. Being somebody who grew up, in a household where my parents were not like the most financially literate people, I wanted to make sure that I set myself up and, my company and my family in the future for that stuff. And that's one of the biggest things that has always helped us, again, especially in times like the pandemic and stuff like that for adapting. But it's like you have to always be ready. Most companies don't have any sort of money, right? So you have to put that aside because, again, it's business, it's life, things happen. When you look at the most successful companies in the world, like WB Mason, who's been around forever, right? Like literally, the guy who started it, his face is literally still on the trucks driving around WB Mason. And it's I don't even know that when, let's look that up. When does WB Mason start? Mason.
I'm so bad with years, but I'm just going to take a random guess to see if I'm right.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
What do you
at
think?
least 100 years. At least 100 years. So 1920s?
I think you might be right. 100 years sounds pretty, 1898.
Wow. That's crazy.
Didn't work. So yeah.
So
So
130 years?
Well, roughly.
125?
Yeah.
Just
See, that's where I would ask
about?
ChatGPT that probably.
Yeah.
See, I just asked Google how long ago it was, and it was like search queries.
Over 100 years, which is really impressive for that type of business.
Oh, so it's 124 years, 2 months, 22 days
especially in a
ago.
world where, because they started out delivering paper, right? Was that it? And then the world went digital, and they found a way to adapt through the times to then it was office supplies, and then it was really just office
Right.
supplies.
So no, they were a rubber stamp and stencil company.
Oh, interesting. Even more niche.
They still do their own rubber stamps today.
Wow.
But the only reason I bring this up is companies like this knew how to strategically be smart, right? So like anytime if I'm mentoring somebody or going through a business that is going through challenging times and stuff, the number one thing I will ask first and foremost is, number one, is it a profitable company? Because if they're not profitable, obviously then they're already in hot water. But if they are profitable, which is a good sign of a healthy company, then we'll start to look at, okay, well, if tomorrow or in 2 months or in 3 months we don't have any clients come in or customers come in, what's your runway look like? And then most people, it's 30 days, it could be 2 months, if that, right? So companies like WB Mason or even like Apple, of course Apple now has the most cash in the world for any companies,
Right.
but it's like these people set aside that money. Look at Nintendo actually. Nintendo, I remember when I first found this out a couple years ago, they have $100 million or more than that, I think it was $200 million, just literally in money that's set aside from when Nintendo 64 got released.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
I mean,
Everybody
smart.
had a 64. If you had an N60, if you didn't have an N64, where the hell you at? Right? At the end of the day, it's like you got to be smart. So I'm saying this because again, we're in election year. There's a lot of takeaways. We're in 2024, going into Q2 soon, and it's like, guys, you have to be ready. The only reason why businesses fail outside of not having sales and customers come through your door is not financially planning properly and setting yourself and your business up for success. So please do that. We are in an election year. Things get crazy in election years. As we've seen, economy definitely has been a little bit weirder. We've seen at the start of this year. But guys, that is what we have for today. Happy Monday. And guys, we're gonna end off on one thing because this is, for now, the last one that you'll see me on for a few weeks because I have my beautiful twins coming, Vienna and Vincenzo. Shout out to Jacqueline for carrying them. Crazy work. Love her to death. Meg's gonna take over the ship though. She's gonna be steering it, and Megan has driven pirate ships before.
I sure have.
So she's not worried about this.
Buckle up.
So, but we're gonna end off with one thing, right? And it's again going back to two things: preparation. When I look at people who are super successful, like the companies I just talked about earlier, and them preparing fiscally, there are so many times when I look back, I get asked this when I'm being interviewed all the time. What would you do differently than if you started all over again, right? And the cliche answer is, I would do nothing. I love what I did, and blah blah blah.
The journey.
But yeah, and I do love it, right? But if I were to go back and I were like, the way I look at it now is, what am I going to tell my kids, right? What can I tell my younger brothers? What can I tell my family or friends, right? And at the end of the day, like preparing yourself in all these different areas of your life for success is what is going to help you succeed as a career-driven person, as a mother, a father, a this, a that, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, a business owner, whatever. And the thing is at the end of the day, it's crazy. I sat down with the biggest, back in Asbury days, when I went to that UPW Tony Robbins event, I hired a top 20% Tony Robbins coach, right, for 2 months. And that person, while they were coaching me, also at the time was coaching the CEO at Verizon and some other massive places. And it's so crazy because it sounds so simple, but when she sat down with me, she said, okay, this is the biggest thing that separates really successful people from people who are not successful. And she goes, what is it that you want for your life? I'm like, huh? That's it? And she goes, most people operate not thinking about what they want in their lives. They just wake up, they jump in the shower, they brush their teeth, they do whatever they do, and they start their days, and then they just go. And then they wake up and they do it again, they go. But they don't look at it from the perspective of what they truly want. What do you want out of your relationships, right? Write that down. What do I want, right? What do I want out of my career? What do I want out of my business? What do I want out of this? What do I want out of my health? And when you look at all those things and you completely understand what you want, then it shifts your subconscious when you start to think about things, because most people don't operate their day-to-day like with, well, what do I want out of this? They're just operating. So with that said, I'm saying preparation here because at the end of the day, you have to know what you want and then you have to prepare for it. I was always, as you know, in the past, I was always very fly by night and like running me, like I was very impulsive with everything. Let's just move, let's just move, let's move. It doesn't matter, I'll wing it, I'll wing it, I'll wing it. And that's just part of my DNA. I think I'm still that person in some instances, but I'm a lot more calculated now because I know if I want this to be the best thing ever, I need to prepare for it. I need to think about this. I need to do what I need to do in order to succeed in that. So all I'm gonna say is, guys, think about what you want out of your business. Think about what you want out of your career. Think about what you want out of your relationships. Think about what you want out of your damn health. And when you think about all these different things and you put that together on paper, right, or on iPad or on your laptop, wherever you put it, start to map that out. And it starts to change the way that you think about the things that you're doing every day, the things that you look at as a negative. And at the end of the day, when you're prepared, you start to see things a lot differently. And I remember saying this, obviously throughout the company and adapting, there's been crazy times as every company. And I remember like having this conversation with you a gazillion times in the past and our management and leadership team. Guys, if you come into the week, if you come into Monday, already knowing this week, shit's gonna happen I don't want to have happen, right? Clients, is there gonna be one unhappy client? There probably is. Is there gonna be one happy team member? Probably is. Is there gonna be something happening in my personal life that I don't want to happen? Probably gonna happen, right? Then you're preparing yourself, right? It's like when you're young and your parents gonna whack you in the head. If you know it's coming, you're ready to go, right? Whereas if you don't, you just get whacked, clean, right? So at the end of the day, guys, things are going to happen this week that you don't want to have happen, but just be prepared for it, right? Because at the end of the day, it's life. This is what shows us how we can move and how we can be better and get stronger from the situations. Kanye said it best. What don't kill you can make you stronger, right? And I don't think that he invented that, but he did say it very famously.
Yeah.
So again, happy Monday, guys. Crush it, and I will see you guys in a few weeks.